guys, so today I'm here for a very exciting video, and that is to do my book review for Capturing the Devil by Carrie Maniscalco. I am so sad that this book is over. I read it as soon as I was able to because I had to finish a readathon, and then I went straight into this book, and it didn't take me very long to read. But like, now that it's over, I do have to say I was a little bit disappointed in this book. I still gave it 5 stars though. Overall, I love this quartet. It is amazing. I want more books. I can't wait to see what else Carrie Maniscalco is going to write, and I am waiting patiently for her new book that's coming out around this time next year. I'm a bit hesitant to say that I absolutely loved it because there is a few slight things that disappointed me, but I still love Audrey Rose. I still love Thomas, and I'm excited to do this review. So there is going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to know things that happen in this book, probably don't keep watching. Oh, hi, baby. Oh, my baby wanted to come say hi. Say hello. Hello. So as I was saying, there is going to be spoilers in this video. So do not watch if you haven't read the last one. And you really shouldn't be watching this if you haven't read any of the other ones. But I have a book review for Stalking Jack the Ripper that I can link down below that talks about the first book. Unless I talk about spoilers in that review too. I seem to only be able to do reviews where I need to talk about everything that happens. But I always let you guys know that there's spoilers. So no harm done. But I'm just excited. I honestly feel though that I need some more books to fill the void that is this series though, because I love having the murder mysteries and it's so intriguing. And I read Truly Devious, and that has been like, I loved that book so much. I highly recommend, but it is set in our times, and I've heard that A Study in Charlotte's really good, and also A Curious Beginning, which I haven't read yet. So there is some options out there. It was also like filling the void too of like the Lady Helen and the Dark Days Club. Like, I love these type of stories that they just made me so excited, yet I'm so sad like when they end. Like, everything is ending and I need to start some new things so that I can get more invested. But in this book, we are in America, and it's been a couple of weeks since the events of the 3rd book, and all this time Audrey Rose has been recovering from her injury, and she does have to walk with a cane now because she does have a limp, and it's actually very sad to see because like it hurts her to walk, and like when it gets cold, and Thomas just feels so helpless because he feels like it's his fault because she stopped the bullet from hitting him. And I'm like, no, this is true love, bitch. This is what happened. I do find though it hasn't stopped Audrey Rose. Like, she is still a boss, and she was never like a physical character. She's very smart, same as Thomas. Like, he does have the skills of a gentleman to know like how to sword fight, which I'm like, oh, love it. But she has never been one to like get into fights and shit, so this isn't stopping her like really solving cases, but it's still sad to see. But I love having this representation because it makes me think of Kaz Brekker as well, and Leigh Bardugo wrote Kaz Brekker's character to be like her own voices of her, and Carrie Maniscalco also wrote Audrey Rose's injuries and own voices of herself. These are good portrayals of characters that have limps and issues because the authors actually go through these things, and I love when authors bring in stuff from their own lives and just do it so well, and it just makes me appreciate the story so much more. And I do have to say that the murder intrigue didn't start until at least the 2nd half of the book for me. This book was very much more about Audrey Rose's father coming from London over to America so Thomas could ask him for Audrey Rose's hand in marriage, and it was all about like the romance side of things and them like developing even more as a couple. And there was murders and bodies turning up, but nothing was really relating, and it was kind of like, I don't really have any suspects in mind right now. I'm more invested in the romance, but it did take away from the story because I wanted some epic murder case, and we didn't even get anything until the 2nd half. So what was very interesting in this book is that we find out that Nathaniel wasn't actually Jack the Ripper. And the first book was so investing when you found out that it was her brother and he was trying to bring their mother back and he was killing everyone. It was so awful, and it's taken so long for Audrey Rose to even comprehend what happened. For this to be brought back into the light really made like a full circle of the case and linked everything up, and I was just shocked because yes, Nathaniel was taking the organs from the bodies, but someone else was killing the women, and that person is obsessed with murder. And we find out that that murderer was on the interior, and he killed one of the victims trying to like put it in with the murder crimes from the last book. So literally it all links up, and now this Ripper is in America, and there is historicalness of having people think that the Ripper keeps coming back because the Ripper was never actually found. Like, there is people that are suspected of it, but it went from London to America, and it just kept going everywhere, and it was around the World Fair, and it's just the amount of research that went into this and how just it's so good. And like, this connection has made it to seem like it's going to be like a really epic showdown, and I was let down. but I had hope that it was going to be so epic. So definitely for me, Audrey Rose and Thomas's relationship has been the best thing. Like, the murder mysteries are like here and their relationship's like here, so it's all like linked up, but they have had such a beautiful growth in their relationship from like kind of hating each other, even though Thomas was just like obsessed with her from the first minute. Audrey Rose really had to learn to want to have a relationship and want to have that person that she depends on, because she never wanted to be controlled by her husband and being told what to do and like not to be able to do what she wants to do, which is like the autopsies and such. But seriously, from where they were in the first book to where they are now, they are just so in love, and it's so beautiful, and they are just equals. And that's why I love Thomas, because he again doesn't stop her doing anything. He just wants to support her, and that is so unlike men of that time that are just controlling douchebags. So I love you, Thomas. And when Audrey Rose's father comes and he's just so supportive and wants her to be happy, and I just feel like I remember him being a big asshole, but he was an alcoholic in the first book and he's come away from that, but I just really didn't think he was like that supportive, because he seemed always against Audrey Rose's decisions. But he's just happy and he just wants to make sure they get married. It just makes my heart feel so full, and I just love him. But he totally accepts the engagement when Audrey Rose is like, Dad, please just let it happen. And then like that scene in the bathtub, like, whoo, it was so good, because it always has been chased kisses with those guys, and we're finally getting the down and dirty, and I am like not even mad. I appreciated it so much, especially when they slept together before they actually got married, and I was just like, oh, the scandal. I am happy. So anyway, they decide to get married like really quickly, so they announce the engagement and they're like, we're gonna get married in 2 weeks, and everyone's like, what? How are we meant to get everything ready for this big wedding? And they're like, we don't really want a big wedding, we just want to get married because it's going to make it easier if we're moving around by ourselves with the cases, and like because we'll be a married couple it makes more sense. And they're all like, oh well, it really does make sense, but we need to get you a beautiful dress and make it beautiful. And I'm like, I was so excited, because I'm like, they're only like 18 and 19 and they're getting married. It doesn't seem right, but I want it. But like the wedding day comes and like Audrey Rose is excited, Thomas is excited, and we're at the wedding ceremony and they're about to say I do, and then all hell breaks loose. So Mrs. Whitehall crashes the wedding with a note from Thomas saying that they are engaged, and it's signed by Thomas. It's like Thomas is writing, and like because of this the priest is all like, well, I can't marry you if you've got this prior engagement with some other woman. So Audrey Rose gets jilted and she just gets out of there, and Thomas is just so confused. We're all confused, and it's just like, what? Why do you need to break my heart? Like, couldn't they just be together and it could be fine? This was obviously a ploy from his father. So Thomas's father is actually a douchebag, but he's actually a duke, so he has like heaps of money and power, and he wants him to marry someone higher up. He doesn't want his children to like be able to choose love for marriage, so he starts chucking threats at both the kids, and Thomas's hands are kind of tied. And then throughout all this turmoil, they had to break up for a little bit, because Audrey Rose is like, I ain't gonna be your mistress, because Thomas is like, I'll marry her, but then I will never look at her ever. And she's like, nah, that doesn't work. I'm not gonna be like this like hoe in the society, and then all my family gets disadvantaged from it. And then she's like, Thomas, don't ever like look at me again, because we can't be in love anymore, because you need to go marry this other bitch and I'll just live my life by myself. And every time they had interactions together, I was so sad, because they just wanted to be together, but then they caved and had sex again and everything was okay again. Reading their pain was so hard, but at this point this is where the case took over, and it was all about trying to figure out who this like new Jack the Ripper person was. And Mephistopheles made an appearance, because I can't say his name. Mephistopheles? Oh my god, M. I called him M in my last review, but he made an appearance, but it was only for 2 scenes, and I was kind of disappointed because he wasn't more cool. Like, all he did was like, they met up with his like circus and they were like talking, and Thomas was just like, haha, bitch, I won. And then they wanted help and he kicked him out, but then he ended up helping them. But I just wanted like some more snarkiness from him, and I didn't get that. As you guys probably know by now, I was disappointed in actually who the murderer was, because it was absolutely the most obvious choice, so I disregarded it, because I'm like, as if this is the shadiest guy I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And when it ended up being him, I was just like, what the fuck? So it was Mr. Holmes, and he owns like this pharmacy and he has all this medication and shit, and he was married to one of the performances in Mephistopheles' show. So Audrey Rose and that chick were talking, and they kept talking about her husband and how she's all like, oh, my sister doesn't really like him and he's kind of really like mean sometimes and he can be weird. And then like Audrey Rose was like trying to find the pharmacy, and this random dude came up to her and he was all like flirty and sneaky up in her face, and she's just like, oh my god, why are you being creepy? And he had the blue eyes of the murderer, and I'm just like, no, as if this is actually going to like be a thing. And then that ended up being the husband, and then everything just kept happening, and then it was just like, well, what do you know? And I do find that with the synopsis, because it talks about how there is this like hotel where all these women are just getting killed and like taken away from, we only find out about that like 80% of the way through the book. So I didn't really know where this was gonna go, because like we keep getting all these murderers, and I'm like, I really don't know who's someone close to these characters where this thing could have like happened, because I'm trying to figure out suspects where we only saw the same people every single day. So when this new random dude turned up, I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be him, isn't it? And then I was like, no, it can't be, it's too obvious. But obviously, like, she thought maybe too obvious, we were like not gonna see it, but I saw it coming by like a mile away. And I also thought this showdown with Audrey Rose and the murderer was gonna be epic. She has to fight her demons again, because this is the guy that murdered all those women with Nathaniel, so like they were like a team. And she goes to confront him, she gets captured because she can't do shit. She's stuck in this like haze of just like kind of like having oxygen taken away and given back to her, so she's like stuck there for 4 days. And he changes her, which creeped me the hell out, and I was like, oh my god. And like literally like the week before, Thomas and her uncle were poisoned and nearly died, so that was also because of the sugar cubes they got for the pharmacy were poisoned. And Audrey Rose is like, oh, I don't have sugar in my tea, and I'm like, well, thank god for that, because they all would have died. And like she's trying to get out of this place, and it's like, you know, when you have all the cows hanging up in the freezer, but it's like all dead bodies, and she's trying to get out. Then he turns up and he's all like, oh, hey Audrey Rose, so I've been like in love with you ever since I saw you, and I'm obsessed with you, but I want to murder you. And she's like, cool, that's fun. And they just keep walking around for like ages, and they're all like, ooh, I've got a darkness in me, it makes me want to kill people. And Audrey Rose is like, oh, I feel it too. Like it was just so annoying, like this whole last scene. And then they end up fighting, and then she's all gonna kill him, and then she's like, no, I can't do this isn't who I am. And then the dude like drops, and then they start a fire, and then Audrey Rose gets out. But like Thomas and Audrey Rose's like reunion was so sweet, because he's been freaking out because she's been gone for 4 days, and I was just like, yes. But then they capture the dude, and then it's all like, oh well, he might be stalking Jack the Ripper, or he might not be, but you know, because the press aren't very helpful in these situations. But yeah, and then we get to the end of the book, and then like, because Audrey Rose's grandmother is boss, I love her grandmother, she is amazing, one of the best characters that have come out of this book. But she has like these connections to the King of England, because I forgot that Audrey Rose has like Indian descent. So her grandmother was married to an Indian guy that they were like given land or something, and then like the Queen and that like had a friendship or something, and she's all like, oh yeah, my granddaughter's gonna marry Thomas, so can you like tell everyone? And then Thomas's father's there like all excited, but then when the Queen announces it that it's Thomas and Audrey Rose, his hands are tied. So it's like, well, we can get married now, how convenient. Like that wrapped up way too quickly, and then they don't even get married for 2 years, because they're all like doing their stuff in the case, and like they'll be sitting in bed like reading the newspaper, and then they get married a year later. So that makes them like 20 and 21, which is like a more respectable age at the time to get married. And that's all sweet, and they seem to still be doing like all their jobs and stuff, and like it ends quite well, and it ends with the wedding. And like I think this second wedding is the one with the card that came with the pre-order of the book, which I didn't really care about. I just bought it on Book Depository. I very much like this cover, because there was a reversible cover where the dress is gold and the background's black, but I just prefer this, so I didn't really want an extra dust jacket. So I was like, yeah, that's fine, don't need the print. But honestly, I love that we got 2 weddings in this book. It's great. It was great. Oh, I'm still so sad that it is over though, but I do have to say, every single book I have guessed who the murderer is. So do I have really good skills? Do you guys think I should apply to be like a detective or something as a new work job, because I got the skills? I just don't know if they're just made to be too obvious, or I've just read too many books, because it's very hard to tell. But I'm sad yet disappointed by this book, but I feel it wrapped up very well. Like I just, oh, it's so hard to like necessarily say how I feel, because I still gave it 5 stars, because I couldn't give it anything less, because it is amazing. But I'm annoyed, yet so happy. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this review. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!